It's Kelvin from the Catching Company in New Zealand. Right, I'm attempting to try and produce the most boringest video ever. That was intended as humour, guys, because of course if you're interested in it, it's going to be interesting. But I'm about to do a refab on a LS430 wiring loom. And now we're seeing lots of these failing these days. We're seeing lots of these needing issues. And we're seeing lots of problems on the cars. And in this case, the customer got carried away and pulled his engine out of his car to pull the loom off. There's more to it. Or maybe. We're going to get straight into this. No mucking around. We're going to get in. We're going to refab this wiring loom. Okay? Let's just get in and get this thing done, eh? And careful, it is going to be a long one because it is a step-by-step, the whole job of doing this wiring loom. Okay, so I'm in for one hell of a video editing session. So this video is going to be a reasonable length. Right, into it. Let's get stuck in.
Well, what we'll have broken injector connectors, or going to break injector connectors. Well, that one's come apart. That's ugly, isn't it? That's going to need a repair for the water temp. Throttle motor broken. Airflow meter broken. Transmission's often not too bad, but it's going to get a new one anyway. But the speed sensors, they're always broken. That one's broken. The other neat one that's break is in these ones. These ones are together at the moment, but I'm almost certain that when I touch them, they will shatter like that. See? And these get lots of VVTi problems because of these connectors breaking or being poorly repaired. Timmy is put a nice label on it so I know whose it is. That's awesome. Here's that feeds down the front. The only connectors I don't have at present are these ones, which is the air conditioning, and I will get some. I've got some on their way from a supplier now. Oh, look, someone's been in here since had some repairs. That one's blown to pieces. Oh, that's broken. And, one of the first things I do is I whip off some tape and some covers off. And I'm just in with I've got a screwdriver. I don't use my pin popping tool because pin popping tools are expensive when you break them. It's hitting my fingers. Right, if you haven't done one of these before, then you've got a few options if you wanted to. You could just go through and pop new connectors on and not change this stuff. But well, this stuff isn't too bad on this, some of it. The coverings. This one's actually quite a little bit soft and supple. They're not the worst ones, but I'm going to go through and I'm going to change all the coverings as well. green marks on some of the wires in a few spots. So my plastics will sit in the same place. I always start in the same spot over this side with the oxygen sensors and the alternator, and this is for the VSV for the progressive power steer. Now guys, if you're in America, if you're doing a left-hand drive one, this is on a right-hand drive vehicle, so it goes down to the steering rack on the right-hand side. Okay, so if you're a left-hand drive car, the steering rack's going to be on the other side. And another little trick for all of you is these are the numbers for these connectors on the connector. This one's tucked in here. Well, most of them. You won't see it in there, but it's 11162. Which happens to be the same as the crankshaft position sensor or the VVTI solenoid. So that's 11162. So there are 4 of those connectors on this wiring loom. Removed a little bit of tape, and then you'll see there's some more tape. I'm going to remove this. Now, Tim, who owns this loom, has cleaned it for me. He's done a nice job too. It's pretty good. And you'll see here's the stuff, the coverings, and it starts to fall to pieces. Oxygen sensor. Alternator. Progressive power steer. And I'm going to take the tape off all of these, and I prefer to unwrap it and then find this crumbly stuff inside. I'm going to do that with the whole wiring loom as I work my way through it. These little clippy things, they can be replaced with normal zip ties, of course. They do have a little unlock right here, which sometimes we can get. This one is cut off. Oh no, I was on the wrong side. This is, no, not that one. This is my favourite tool. This is my pin popper. And can you see a part number on there? If I haven't remembered, I'll put it in the description. It's a TE product. It's a expensive little buggers, and we break a couple every year. You can use like a small screwdriver or some eBay pin poppers, one with a nice flat edge on it. That one should do the job. Here's a nice one. Okay. Good, and we're looking at this one. There's actually some damage on those wires. They've actually split away. So I'm going to do a bit of a repair there. I'm in, and I remove the little tab. Then in here, and I'm going to remember the colours of the wires, though I do have them written down. So if you look at the Google Drive, there's a link in the Google Drive that I can give you, and you can have access to all my folders. with all my little pictures, all my hand drawn scribbles in there, and they're coming out. I had my finger tucked to the back. I'll show you that again. Greener number 1. There's also numbered generally from this way when you're looking from the back. Number 1, number 2. That's because that's number 1 there. That's number 2. Turn it round. 1, 2. Finger. Round there like this. And I'll hold the connector. Now I'm not putting any pressure on that wire. I'm in here. I slide the pin. And I pull it out. Connector gone. It's the green wire that needs a bit of a repair. I'm going to try to maintain the length. So I'm going to snip it off right there. I'm going to take the right seal off. I've got some RNF 100, so it's a heat shrink. It's going to be the go. Now, if you don't have access to stuff like this, which is, I wouldn't be surprised, a really nice tape. Okay, so some nice PVC tape. Common, good quality though, PVC tape. Don't buy the $2 stuff, buy some decent tape. Oh, in America, $2 is probably a good tape. Over here, $2 is a shit tape. And then heat gun. Right. In this case, I'm going to cover it in some RNF. Oh, it's not RNF. This is actually DR25 Motorsport heat shrink. Other products I would use would be like a heat-proof sleeve. Again, if you don't have this stuff, which a lot of guys aren't going to have, then a really good quality tape is going to be fine. I'm using Tesa tape. Okay, Tesa tape, T-E-S-A. It's narrow cloth type tape, lovely tape. Okay, that is sort of industry standard, so that is what I would recommend if you can get it. eBay USA, that's where I bought mine. And then otherwise a good PVC tape. This is a wide loom tape, which is the one I use. I'm using Formula harness tape. There was actually Digi tape too, which was one of my favourites. And because I've done that repair, I'm going to slip the seal back on and crimp a new terminal on. I should have put my heat shrink over first. That's alright. So my small heat shrink is 1.2 meters of, it's 5mm, and this one is an 8mm. Oh, 9, sorry, it's a 9mm. 9. And it was green in number 1. It was green in number 1. Blue in number 2. It's actually a blue-black. Again, got the documentation. Now, if your colours are different, don't stress out. Write your own. It's pretty simple. The one I'm doing here, this is like a 2000 to 2003 LS430. Oh, you saw me take that out, yep. And I actually had a guy, again, guys in the US, there is a world, a life outside the US, guys. He said, oh, they didn't make it, a 2000 LS430. Yeah, they did. Production started, I believe, it was late 2000, and it was late 2000 for the LS430. So we in New Zealand and in Australia can get a 2000 model LS430. I'm looking for my tape. There it is. I'm just about to the end of my tape. Now I just cut. There's some shielding comes through. So this is a wire with shielding in it. So it's got like a stainless steel braid, and it stops interference on that signal wire. And they poke a little bit extra out, so I cut it off, and I just tape it like that. Neat and tidy. Clip's already gone, and I've confirmed the colours before popping it out. Of course, if you're just doing a repair on a particular part of the loom, this info may be helpful to you as well. The number 1 pin top is for the heater circuit of the oxygen sensor. The next one is in this case it's a black wire. That's again heater, but it's the 12 volt power. So that's the one that if you blow a fuse in to your airflow meter, that's the same power feed that goes to the airflow meter. Okay, over here. And it's often because the oxygen sensors have issues, or they get ripped out and the wire shorts out. And then we've got the sensor signal, and we've got the sensor ground. Again, same deal, there's not a finger in the back. And the new connector housing. Now I've got the genuine Toyota numbers for you here today. There it is. Now all the connector numbers start with 90980. Okay, 90980. So that other one was a 90980-11162. This is a 90980-10869. Again, now what I've got here is I'm going to put a little bit of covering just on that section. I'm going to use an R&F again, so a motorsport heat shrink. Again, if you don't have that, just do a nice tape job of it. And we're doing it this way. We're not actually going to change many terminals. I'm not going to cut all the terminals off the loom. And I'm using the slightly bigger 9mm heat shrink on this one. So this one is a non-glued heat shrink, and the one I use on the ends is a dual core glued heat shrink. I'm going to refit that connector. This is the top where the clip is. And because there are different colours, I'm not going to get too tied up in colours today, because some of you will be possibly doing like a 03 or 04 to 06. So the colours might be a little bit different, or you're doing a GS430, or you're doing a Crown, or a 186 Crown. So we aren't going to get too carried away with the exact colours. And I've managed somehow to get my oxygen sensor wiring signal a bit longer. It'll tape in just fine. And so that's all taped up, all shrunk up, and the sensor is connected, and we're going to double check the wiring. Yep, that's good. Right, alternator time. The alternator is going to stop. Look. Woo! Pink, red, and then blue, red. No, nothing wrong with that connector, eh, guys? So in this case that it has fallen apart internally, I need to get right down in here, and the little clips, the holding clips, have just absolutely fallen to pieces. So a little bit of destructive removal is required. 3-pin. So the later models and some US, yeah, so your 6 speeds have a 4-pin alternator plug, but this is a 3-pin. That's 11349. 11349 for the 3-pin. Shall I find the 4-pin for you? Wait there. 0306 car. That is the alternator connector, so it's a 11964. That's the 4-pin alternator connector. The alternator has a booty. Don't forget to put the booty back on. Or you can slide it all the way up the wiring. Now when you're sliding back in, also you'll notice on the terminal, they've got these little tabby tabs. They've got to go in the correct way. We've also got in here, I should do the wiring, eh? So that one's for the light, goes back to the ECU in this case. That's an ignition source, and that one's a sense or 12 permanent 12 volts. And I'll try to do the designation of each of the pins as I work my way through it. I'm going to refit the little clip. It fought me on the way off, and it's fighting me on the way back in. I put it in too tight. I wanted to leave it loose so when Tim fits it he can actually move it a little bit. That's better, isn't it? So you can locate that probably. And in here we had this clip on here. You can see I put the green marks on, and then on goes the tape. Right, a few tricks for when taping. Tape away from the end. So we start here. So a little bit of tension on, but not too much. Okay, and we've taped away from this point, so you've taped that end in. So Toyota doesn't tape this piece factory, but I'm going to. I think it looks neater and tidier. And you'll see I pull the tape out and then I wrap it around, and I'm trying to get about a 50% overlap. I'm at the airflow meter wiring. It's the airflow meter, and we've got to find the connector. This happens to be the same as the early model 1UZ igniters on some models. So 90980, 11317. My one's a white one. Now I've peeled back and taken off the conduit and taken some of the wrap off. This one's really funny. It's got a lot of like the Tessa tape. It doesn't want to come off again. It sticks like shit to a blanket. So I do things a bit different. I'm going to go back here like this. Now I'm going to break up the braid. So I've got a 6mm braid, and I've got a 4mm braid, and that's what I'm going to do the whole wiring loom with, pretty much. Woo. Just going to check my colours match my diagram, and I was actually just looking at an 01 USDM spec LS430, and it had different colours. This one is a JDM spec car, so black is plus B. Now we were talking about those wires that go down to the oxygen sensors. Well, this is the same wire in the plus B. Oh, did you just hear that just cracking? It absolutely cracked inside. And the next one is E2G, so that's your airflow meter earth. And on the 3UZs, that goes back to the ECU. Next one is the, in this case it's black red, it's VG, but it's the airflow meter signal. And this pinout is common across all the 3UZs? Yes, it is. It's different to some of the 1UZs. I've got a video on airflow meters. And the next one is THA, is air temp. And it's another black wire. Oh, it might have a blue, oh, it's got a blue trace on it, just, but it's very hard to see. And then the last one, it's got a black yellow. Now to get the braid on, we get a little bit of tape. And you saw I flamed it. seeing something weird right there. And then again, the twin core, this time heat shrink. And into a plug again. I'm going to retape through here, over this. I'm not going to tape this bit at the moment. I'm going to take the tape off there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here. I'm going to mark that one. They normally actually have another one up in here. It's there. So I'm going to mark for the extra one of these that normally goes there. And I'm going to take this tape off, and this tape off, and this tape, and pop this section here out. I'm also going to get this bit of tape off, and this is the drive-by wire. That's probably going to be our next target right there, was we'll get that drive-by wire sorted. Someone different taped up this one to the last one I did. The last one doesn't have the tape all the way up here. I've got the conduit off, and we're flipping the tape, and there's lots of hard tape in here. So establishing what I'm going to do with this. There. I'm using zip ties just to secure the wires so they don't go everywhere. I'll also be cutting this stuff off. So we're going to replace all that with braid. Of course, again, if you're doing it at home, you're just doing connectors, you don't need to worry about that. If you're doing it in the car, then you're definitely, almost certainly not going to do that, or you're going to tape it. A whole lot of stuff is gone. I'm doing this help the way that I do the job, and of course for a lot of guys they're not going to be taking all the tape off and the or that covering off and putting braid on. They're going to be popping some new connectors on and checking there's no damage to the wires. And then a lot of the time if they do take that covering off that falls to pieces, they're probably going to use some tape and just tape each branch up carefully, and that's fine. Do it the way that works for you, and that is perfectly acceptable for many repairs. I've got a slightly different standard where I like to put the braid on, and that's what this man is after. So it's been requested, so I do it this way. And I do a lot of them this way. All right, I'm going to get some connectors ready and lay them all out, and we'll work our way through this side. And I'll focus on this side. There's a whole lot of injectors and stuff on the other side, of course, which we probably won't be going through every single one, because that'll make this video far too long. But there are some other wires on the other side we do need to check. So we're going to start with this side, and I'm going to do some repairs in here, of course. Right, we're going to do the drive-by-wire motor. This is a 5-speed, so it's got a single drive-by-wire motor plug here, and then, I said that wrong, eh? It's got a 2-pin drive-by-wire motor plug on one side, and on the other side is the throttle position sensor. This is the same connector as this one. Ooh. This is the ACIS, and this is the throttle motor. Here's our part number. 11156. Also the same as the transmission speed sensors and the VSV for the purge solenoid, or the charcoal canister solenoid. Right, let's me see if I can do it with one of these, eh? With these cheap eBay tools to see if they are going to do the job. So I'm going to take that out. The connector is just shattering. It's awesome. Same deal, the plug is just all falling apart in here. Bit of destructive removal. They work. I'm going to put some braid on it. I'm going to put some 6mm braid on it. Now I don't have the fancy scissors that heat up the braid, so I use my fire. And when doing this, don't do it near anything flammable, and careful not to knock it over on your cell phone. Haven't done that yet. The old plastic bag does catch fire. We do try to avoid that. Now if I'm really worried, what I'll do is I will actually put a bit of tape over the end of these. But if I've got a bit of practice now, and I'm generally okay with just feeding it on. Of course, I'm doing it on camera now, and so life may not actually go to plan. Here we go. Oh, there we go. Beauty, look at that. And on this one, there was a little clip on here, which I probably put underneath all this stuff here to test last night. There it is. And I don't tape it on, I'm just going to zip tie it on. Goes that way. And that will allow the owner to adjust it a little bit as well when it gets fitted. Okay. Mentally, we always say, hey, we must put that shrink wrap on the end of the braid, and there's only normally one connector in the whole loom that I will forget to do that on. I almost use as many of these connectors as I do coil and injector connectors. They are an extremely common one. So this loom's got 5 of them on it. So they add up pretty quick. Of course it's got 8 injector connectors, so it's not quite as much. EFI temp sensor. So this one is 10738. It had fallen apart. I buy from the same place that sell to Toyota. So this one won't have a part number on it. I can go in there. And you can see wires have been cut and something's been done here. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut it, join some new wires on, and do a bit of a repair. Let me get over a bit closer. So today, I'm not going to show that. I'm going to splice in, and I'm going to do my measurements, and I'll get that repaired, and we'll come back and show fitting up the connector and sorting that out. I might show a little bit, because see here I've got it as just a connector. I can do them with a seals and terminals kit, which isn't normally required, but in this case it is, and that wasn't going to work because you can see these wires going through the end. Right, I've done a repair. So I staggered the joints, it was crimped, and it's covered in the twin core shrink wrap, and then it gets some braid over it. And then I've measured it up. It's probably a smidgen longer. The connector's normally about there. As per normal, don't forget the shrink wrap to seal up the braid. Now these connectors, the VVTi water temp connector, 10738. It is different to the non-VVTi. They have different keys, which are the little positions in there. This one's high, then low. 3UZ is really good because they're both that style there, both the earlies and the lates. The 1UZ VVTIs, the crowns actually have the early one. Sorry, the 151 crown have the early type, and then the others have the later model like 3UZ. If you get it wrong, just get your water temp sensor and trim the tabs off. Not ideal, but if you're in an emergency, it can be done. Right, normally I put the seals on before I strip the wire, so that was a bit of a stuff up, it's okay. And then I've got my crimps. I crimp hundreds of these. I'm just trying to do it backwards so we can see it, and then of course on video it doesn't crimp like I want. Now with many of the Toyota sensors, they put the signal into pin 1. These water temp sensors, they do not. They do it the other way around. So the brown, which is the earth, is in pin 1. And the signal is in pin 2. They don't want to pop in as nice as I would like. I'm just going to give them a bit of assistance from the rear. Click. We're normally using a much smaller wire, so we're normally using a tefsel, and so these seals are a bit tighter when using a normal type wire. Real video, real lifetime, it doesn't want to go in nicely. I'm just going to crimp that a bit tighter here. There was the problem, I didn't quite crimp up the rubber and then clip that in. Right, moving along, we're going to do the VVTi actuators. This one is the same again as that PPS, progressive power steer solenoid plug, same as the crank sensor plug and the other side VVTi sensor. Solenoid. Part number is 11162. We've got a bit more pace happening now. And did you hear that? Just cracking to pieces? Watch this. A little bit of destructive removal required. Here we go. And we were paying attention to which colours, weren't we? Coming in with the 4mm, and I'll measure up. And then attempt to fire it on nicely. If you guys do have trouble with feeding your braid on, if you are doing braid, wait till you see me do a coil one, and I will show you a bit of a trick. And again, we just slip the terminals on. There's a pretty common theme here, eh? I take the old connector off and I put a new connector on. Coils and injectors. So normally I would whip through and take every single injector connector off it. Oh, I got a skip in here, eh? And then I would sleeve all of them. So I will do the first one. And injector connectors, real common, 11153. 11153. Subliminally, I am actually teaching Jason all these part numbers. I walk around the shop going injector connector 11153, VSV 11156, and he's starting to learn what they are. And this one is now if you look at the injectors, there's this one's got a green white in all of them, and then the other color changes. So the common color is the 12 volts. And the other side is the trigger from the ECU. Hash 1, hash 2, hash, oh no, 10. Hash 10, hash 20, hash 30. So hash 10 is injector number 1, hash 20 is number 2. There's the injector. They're pretty common, they break. And then I put the braid on. And then I put the connector back on. Pretty simple stuff. I'll come back when I do that coil connector. Injector connector, all done, and then a bit of heat on the shrink wrap. Right, moving on to the coils. Now this part number is 11162. No. And now this part number is 11885. 11885. It's up in here. I had to buy, and a lot of these connectors I actually buy 2,500 or 5,000 at a time. And if you look on here, I'm actually buying from Yazuki. That's the place that sells to Toyota. Okay, and I'm buying a heap of them. Right, coil connector. We have a red wire here, which is a 12 volt. And I think this one is all reds. So unlike the injectors, sometimes the injector power on the other side of the 12 volt is a different color. And then we have a feedback wire. Then we have a trigger wire. And then we have the earth. And it's as white black. And I think this one's an interesting one again. Let's go have a look over here. this one here. So that for some reason, number 4, the earth changed to brown. But all the others, the earth's a white black. In the same circuit as the power, the 12 volt, we also have the noise suppressor, which is this one. So the noise suppressor, and that just changes the radio, any static from the radio, reduces it from the ignition system, is 10843. This one, they're always a bit longer than they need to be, so I can actually just cut it off here and I'll re-crimp that one on and replace that terminal. So that's nice and simple. In the feedback, you'll notice that the number 2 and number 8 have the same feedback. So that's in pin 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again it is this one is blue black. And then in these two they're matching, which is, in this case, it's a green colour. Also in this side loom, while we're doing that, we've got the ACIS, and it's got a plus B, which is the same as the airflow meter voltage, and then the signal for that little flap under the manifold, the ACIS flap. And we have a VVTi cam position, and as you can see, this one is just totally fallen to bits. And that's I would actually need to look at what those actually are, what those designations are. Off the top of my head, it's slipped. It's beating me at the moment. But they are for the cam position to do with the VVTi. Really common on the 1UZ VVTi is to get a break in the wiring up in here. The 3UZs aren't so bad. So that's all those connectors. Let's get this coil connector changed anyway. Oh, I didn't do a cam position number, did I? 0947. Same on both sides, and same as the main cam sensor, which is the left hand cam sensor. Did I tell you that the ACIS is 11156, same as the drive-by-wire, and same as the PPS? No. And same as the VSV and the speed sensors? Oh, come on. Oh, there it is. Right, trying to feed this over there is kind of tricky. So I do this little trick here. And if you're wondering what the smell is, no, I didn't fart, it's the burning of my arm hairs because I reached over the hot flame. Don't do that. No. Now, understanding how this stuff works is really helpful. So understanding that all the coils have got a 12 volt, which is red, check the locks out, eh? And then knowing that the next one is the feedback, so pop that in. And then we've got our trigger, and then we've got our earth. And having that knowledge helps you wire a heap of Toyotas. And if you've got broken wires, it helps with that. Easy. So as you can see, I've done this section here, and I'm going to work my way along and do all these others. I'm going to do it a bit quicker now, and I'm not going to do it on camera. We've got the braid going on nicely. Remember to put our shrink wrap on, coils, injectors, airflow water temp, VVTI solenoid, rubber wire, VVTI position, ACIS, noise suppressor. Alright, let's get in and get this done, and I'll do some taping up, so I'll get it taped up like this as well. So the next time you come back, this side is actually going to be finished, and we'll get into that transmission. It's looking like it should now. Back to what it should be. There were clips there. I've marked clip there and clip there, which weren't included on this loom. Tape this funky thing here back in. Shrinked, braided, all new connectors, job done. Let's put a bit of covering on here, which I'll shrink in a moment. Now, it's really interesting looking at the back of here. This is factory. Those are factory crimp joiners. And whoever did this one got a bit carried away with some of their lengths. That's why this was all taped up. This is factory, guys. You see there's my green mark, so everything sits in about the right place. Right, we're going to do the trans side. Transmission. We've got oxygen sensor, oil level sensor, and that is one of the connectors I don't have yet. I'm working on getting some more of those, but we'll still give that a tidy up. It's looking like it should now. Back to what it should be. There were clips there. I've marked clip there and clip there, which weren't included on this loom. Tape this funky thing here back in. Shrinked, braided, all new connectors, job done. Let's put a bit of covering on here, which I'll shrink in a moment. Now, it's really interesting looking at the back of here. This is factory. Those are factory crimp joiners. And whoever did this one got a bit carried away with some of their lengths. That's why this was all taped up. This is factory, guys. You see there's my green mark, so everything sits in about the right place. Right, we're going to do the trans side. Transmission. We've got oxygen sensor, oil level sensor, and that is one of the connectors I don't have yet. I'm working on getting some more of those, but we'll still give that a tidy up. Overdrive speed sensor at the front of the transmission. This is the solenoid plug for the trans, and look, we got a little bit more, eh? Oh, it's all cracked just on the edges. That's cracked. And this is the gear selector switch. So I'm going to get this a bit of a clean up with the tape off, clear some tape in here, get this split, get down here, and we're going to start with that fella there. So I think that's where I normally start. Often I'm removing this, I'm doing a lot of manuals of these, so this all comes out, and I'm left with just this. Oh, PPS solenoid. So you guys in America, left-hand drivers, there's going to be a PPS solenoid here, progressive power steer solenoid. There's that stuff that just falls apart. I'm going to leave this bit to last actually on the trans loom. I'm going to do the other connectors. What have we got here? So, I think I need the connectors that are sitting on my kitchen table because I was doing some paperwork with them. Wait a minute, just wait there. Right, this is the gear selector connector. This happens to be the part number. I've already opened the bag, but there we go. 9098011784. 11784. And on these ones I just do a 1-for-1. Look out. Come on. Come on. That's what we want. So you've got power feed and a reverse, and then park, neutral, drive, 2 and low in here. And you've got your start inhibit, or your neutral start switch, which is these two on the outside edges. And I just get in, and you know how it looked like it wasn't in bad condition? I didn't tell you it wasn't in bad condition, but it certainly looked like it wasn't bad. These pins are making a horrible noise when I pop them back. No. Being that I'm male, it's actually quite hard to talk and pop pins and change them over all at the same time. We're just not equipped for that. I've got a mate in Australia who buys a lot of connectors off me, and he just before Christmas he got a big supply from me a little while ago, and I'm getting very, very low on some of them. I'm just going to give it a little tape up. And then I'm going to come through and I'm going to tape that section again. Right, moving to this one. So this is the solenoid plug. There's the connected heart number, 11664. And I'm going to do the same. I'm going to 1-for-1 it, and then I'm going to tape this section here. There was a whole lot of that crap that falls apart just up in here. Wires are still nice and supple, which is nice. But the connector is not, so it just fell apart just by touching it. And we start in here, one at a time. There's actually another part number that you can use on these, which is 11151. Oh, no, And this is where things can get a bit nasty when they fall apart. Right, I think you get the idea. I'll get this one done and I'll come back to you when we do some speed sensors. Probably should clip it in properly, eh? There you go. Right, speed sensors. 11156, there again. Two of them. This one's the rear speed sensor, or SP2, and this is the overdrive speed sensor, NCO. It actually measures the front drum speed, which doesn't always spin. So let's get some new connectors on there. Oxygen sensor. As you can see, as I was untaping it, that one just fell out. So that could have been an issue. Could have just been it was holding on enough to give a signal. So we're going to pop that plug off. And it's normally in the same one as the oil level sensor. I'm going to do a bit of a change, and I'm going to find that connector, and I'm going to 10869 for the oxygen sensor, and 11235 for this one, for the oil level. So what I'm going to do is it was joined here and then it branched, and this split off, and this was taped in. That doesn't work for me with this stuff, so I'm going to change it a little, and I'm going to make it two separate ones. So I'm going to use this stuff here, some heat-proof sleeving, and I'm going to do heat-proof sleeving to there, and then this one's going to be heat-proofed as well, and then a couple of zip ties holding them together. These did have some clips on, and there's this clip here. This little clip was clipped into there, so I'm going to refit that into the new connector. connectors. I just used a little bit of DR25 Braid chem on those too. Up to here, and then I've got this heat-proof stuff on here. I'm going to have to wait a little bit for this connector because I don't have any at the moment. I actually used my last one of those too. Yeah, I've got a big order on its way. This bit's pretty much done. Oh, I need to shrink this bit. In here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw in some zip ties just to hold it and make it a little bit neater. And this fella here, oh, sorry, a bit tired. And this fella here, no longer available, which is a real pain, either sides of that. So I'm looking at options. This is on a 5-speed one, okay? 6 speeds are different. They have a different connector there. So I'm looking at maybe using the 6-speed connectors where the 5-speed connector goes. I think it's 11162 off the top of my head, that one, and the other side's 11161. Oh, I lie. Okay, there it is there. So guys, if you can find this one, 11160. If you've got any contacts, I've got a couple left that I'm just using as samples, just in case at some point I find a supply. So 11160 is that top one. Just a note on these guys, I prefer to zip tie them. You can still tape them. I've popped a couple of zip ties in here, so this cover can actually go back on because everything's held on there a bit neater. And then we're moving on to down here. I sort of see this as 4 parts of a loom. We've got the right hand side, which I always do first, and then we've got the transmission loom. And it's whether I'm rebuilding the transmission loom or servicing it or just taking it out because we're running a manual. That's part 2. Then down the left hand side. And then I've got the front crank loom as its own separate piece. The front cam, crank, air conditioning. And then if I'm doing a start knock sensor loom, that's sort of the 5th part. And so I try to do each section and then take a bit of a break. And though this has had quite a few breaks because I've been doing a few other bits and pieces. And this particular job is taking a lot longer because I am videoing it. So normally I'm much faster on this. It's just about my dinner time. I'm going to take a break. I'm not sure I'm going to get any more done tonight. I've had a bit on today and sorted a few other things. And we can't actually get to the workshop at the moment. There was a big storm and the road's blocked. That's okay. Jason's having the day off tomorrow. Today was technically a holiday, and we'll resume work once we can get to the workshop again. The other bit I'm often doing then is modifying up by the ECU, because I'm doing it in an engine swap. This one's not an engine swap, it's going back into the same car, so that makes me pretty happy, because videoing the whole thing is a bit of a mish. But hey, it's going to help a lot of people because we're going to see a lot more of these that are going to need to be refabbed. Right, a bit of a break, and I will come back to you with a fresh start as we go down the left hand side. I forgot something. The throttle motor, and I'm about to do the TPS. So on the 6 speeds, we have a different connector because they don't have an individual throttle motor and an individual throttle position sensor. They have a combined connector with 6 pins in it. So there is the connector for the 6 speed. That is the throttle body connector, 11858. And this one isn't in very good condition. That's my next loom, funnily enough. Right, we've done that side, we've done the back, we're into here. We got injectors again, we've got another VVTI position, we've got coils, and then over in this piece we've got, oh, looks like I've had a repair, someone's had a repair, so I'll just double check that repair. And is there a noise suppressor? There it is there. Something's going on with these noise suppressors. So it's pretty much the same as the right hand side. So I'm going to get in and get this side done before we move on the front crank loom. But connectors, braid, same stuff. All pretty basic stuff. And of course the coil connectors on this side are the same as the other side. And oh, we've got the purge solenoid, which is the same as the drive-by-wire motor, the speed sensors and the ACIS, so that's a 11156. Injectors 11153, 11885, 10947 for the cam. This is the before. Right, I've just finished down the left hand side. You see I paint mark in here, paint pen, just so I make sure if I do take anything apart it goes back in the same spot. We're pretty close. The main one was this piece here, which is the noise suppressor, and the wire was actually all cracked to pieces. Let's go the right, oh there it is. Whee! A little hard to see, but that's cracking. It's had a repair of some sort. So I've taken it fairly way back in. Now in here is actually standard. This is factory in here. It's getting a bit dark in here. All done, taped, braided, new connectors. I've got to retape that. And then I start down the front crank loom. So we've got a TPS, throttle position sensor. Now if you've got the 6-speed, of course you don't have that throttle position sensor. VTA1, VTA2 are the signal wires, and an earth and a 5-volt. We've got the front cam position sensor, the main one for engine position to the ECU. This 3-pin and this 2-pin are for the air conditioning. Crank sensor and oil pressure. As I'm doing them, I'll grab some part numbers, shall I? Yep. Right, I missed the VVTI actuator. They're called OCV, oil control valve. Both run to the ECU. And this one, the wires are really faded. So I've actually got a blue white and a green white, and they look almost identical. And they were tucked just outside the loom there, just sticking out. Part number is 11162, so 3 ones. And as you can see it again, it's going to be destructive removal. Now these are polarity sensitive. Oh, I was going to go over what goes wrong, eh? When you get these things wrong. Now this one will throw a fault code. It won't run properly and we'll turn off the VVTI. So it doesn't pay to get it wrong. The VVTI positions, I give it a lumpy idle. Again, I'll turn the VVTi off and give it a lumpy idle. Get the crank sensor around the wrong way, you'll change the timing and it'll run poorly. And give cam crank sensor reference codes. I didn't do this, eh? Injectors, doesn't matter. Coils are cool. If you get the positive and the negative around the wrong way, they blow to pieces. Or they're very prone to. So I don't recommend doing that. If you get the trigger and the feedback around the wrong way, you may get a start-stop situation, or you may just get a misfire and a code for that cylinder, misfire code. Transmission, don't get any of those wrong, it'll just cause things to not work. Trains won't change gear. Speed sensors, I haven't got a speed sensor wrong, around the wrong way. So I don't actually know from personal experience or from diagnosis. TPS, you'll get a TPS code, and poor idle or the throttle won't work. So I don't recommend getting things around the wrong way, guys, is what I'm saying. Every now and then that happens. So the rubber seal pulls back, so I just flick them back. Try to pop them back in. And then regrip it. And it's done. Right, TPS. Right, for the TPS, partner is 10711. We've got 5 volt, which is the blue red, a brown, which is earth E2, and then the 2 signals, which is VTA1 and VTA2. Now you may wonder why I'm not taping these ones. The terminals are different. And don't jinx it, come on, just slip them out. So they don't have the grabby like the other ones. Now, of course, when we're doing this, we're keeping our eyes open for any damage to any wires. anywhere in the wiring loom. Anything that looks a bit suspicious, anything that, some countries, rodents do damage. Rats love chewing on wiring looms. Right, the next one I'm going to attack is the front cam position sensor. This one has got a blue and a yellow, and that's fairly common across most models. And you'll see we've touched it. Let it look again. Look at it. You guys wonder why these things have cam and crank sensor trigger errors when their connectors look like this. Blue and number 1. Connector. So the connector is 10947. Let me get this done. Done, look, beauty, yeah. Right, we've got these AC connectors, or air conditioning connectors. Something's been done here, look, I'm not sure. Quite, it's got some black smooge on it. Feels like something's gone through it, or something's nibbled on it. So anyway, this one's a 11016, and this one's 10901. No longer available through Toyota over here. So if anyone's got any contacts for that one, I've just ordered 50 from another supplier. And while we're at it, let's have a look at the oil pressure. Oil pressure, so goes back to motor oil level on the ECU. 11363. There's the crank position. Same as their VVTi positions. So it's 11162. It does this funny loopy back thing here, so pay particular attention to this area here, because that one there, yeah, because they get some damage there sometimes. Actually, really prone to damage in this area, causing a no start situation. So keep an eye out for that. All right, I'm going to get all these ones done. You know, we're looking good. We're looking good. It's braided, it's taped, it's zip tied, and I thought it was just about done. But let's not forget the start loom with the knock sensors. So we're going to give this a tidy up as well. Now this plug, unfortunately I don't have that plug anymore. Well, I've got a couple left, but I haven't got a good supplier of replacements, so I'm really careful with those. What's going on here? Alright, that just needs clipping back together. And we're going to refab start trigger. 11400. Oh look, I've even got a white one and a grey one for the knock sensors. There was knock sensors here, look at that, that's awesome. And both of them are broken. What number are they? Oh, 11166 is knock sensors. So a little bit of a mark where the clip is. And the grey is normally number 1. A razor blade. Now, if you're using a razor blade, be real careful. I find it late at night when I start cutting myself, then it's time to stop doing the job. I do like a little sub loom which has just got this piece in it, and so you remove this bit and you replace just the bit that goes to the knock sensors and the starter trigger. Up in here you've got all that ugly stuff. That loom all done. Little couple of finishing bits here. I'm going to put some covers on. There's a bit of tape that goes around there. And a cover over here. Get it back inside a little earth or wire. Done. Some tape, and we're looking pretty good. Right, nothing needs to be done at this end because this one's a refab and not a modification. But to note, there's the loom number, the harness number, 82121 50440. It's ready to be fitted. Go back in. Oh, I'll probably throw it on an engine and give it a test actually. Might be a good idea.